So my name is Jerome Skuggen. I'm a member of the Airport Toastmasters Club, and I joined the community back in 2017. Yeah. Oh, that's an interesting one. So ever since I've been little, I've always been known to be a talkative. And one of the problems I faced was finding a community where I could actually express myself and speak freely. You would have all these people always complaining that you talk too much, you talk too much, you talk too much. And it was getting to me. I always felt that talking was a part of who I was. And I needed to be somewhere that would not jeopardize that aspect of me and allow that part to flourish more. I'm friends with McLean. He's been my neighbor for God knows how long. Now he's out of the country. So he just told me about Toastmasters. I should come to a meeting, blah, blah, blah. I should come and engage and see how things will go. So I followed him to a meeting at Airport. That time, Airport was at Volta 8 Spaces. They had freshly moved from MFA and we're now Volta 8 Spaces, close to GIZ. And I just joined. It was an outdoor setting. I liked the way everything was outdoor. Everybody was freely communicating, all that. I was like, nah, this is where I want to be. Because everybody could speak freely. It wasn't a place where I would feel weird for being a talkative. It was a place I was actually encouraged to talk more. So that is where my journey actually started in the community. I would say that the same reasoning that I wanted to find a place to belong was what actually pushed me to make that choice finally. I didn't get that thing where, even from the first meeting, I didn't get that thing where, oh, you're talking too much. It's been something that has really bothered me for a long time. So the fact that I actually found myself in a place where I could freely speak and not hear anybody tell me that was enough reason for me to join the community. That was all. That was actually what sold me. I could speak as much as I wanted to. I could articulate how I expressed myself. I could say what was on my mind without actually feeling bad or feeling weird about it. I think that was enough for me. So the fact I just met a place where everybody was also interested in talking just like me, like, oh, okay, this is where I fit, this is where I belong. So I didn't need any big convincing or any hard sell. No. I would say it was during the COVID period. The COVID period actually forced me to learn a lot of skills because of the fact that meetings had to be moved to an online setting. And when you are speaking to an audience physically, it's a bit different from when you are speaking to an audience online. And I noticed that through that period and through that time, I developed this ability not just to speak to people in front of them, but to speak to them in front of a camera. It wasn't a very simple skill at that time because we are all still new to it. But at that point, I realized that no, I had really improved because I could actually articulate what I was doing in person to what I started to do in front of a camera. And it has been a major part of some of the activities I engage on even currently outside Toastmasters community. When it comes to leadership, it used to be a very simple thing to me. Okay, I'm a president or a vice president or a secretary, but I think one particular experience that made me understand that even the talent you have can actually push an agenda was when Papa was DTM and he made me the head of the creative committee within the Toastmasters community, a very new role that we had never done before in the community. And that whole experience and having that placard to show for it, being appreciated for it, but even the placard was a secondary aspect. Me realizing that based on the efforts I put in during that period, how it influenced other members, and seeing the side effects that we are still experiencing till today, Because I remember back in the day when we really didn't pay attention to how we looked visually as a community. We really didn't pay attention to it. We didn't really care. We didn't care about the artistic side of things. And yes, we had to step on a few toes in the beginning. Because I remember instances where they complained that we are not using brand colors and all that. And I had to sit down and learn the brand colors and try to find creative ways of making sure the brand colors work. And organizing tutorials for people in the community who wanted to learn. All that experience were forms of leadership to me. And I noticed that truly when you are a leader and you do your work to the best of your ability, even when you are not there anymore, the ripple effects of what you did will show in the generations to come. So if I pay attention to most of the flyers and designs we do now, I notice that there's a very huge shift. Nobody comes to me to ask to help with anything, but I've noticed that people are now being able to create the same quality of work I was creating back in the past. And that alone gives me a lot of satisfaction. I really don't care if people don't depend on me as a leader. No. I actually care more when, if the time I was in office, whether I left a lasting impact. And if I leave, whether people see it. And clearly, I've noticed it. And I feel that's one aspect of leadership that people need to pay attention to. When you leave, what do you leave behind? What is that legacy you leave behind? And I can rightly stamp that Toastmasters taking artistic work more seriously. I can rightly say that I'm a part contributor to that. I would say it's been exciting, one word. It's been interesting too, and it's been fulfilling. And the reason why I would add the fulfilling, exciting and interesting explains themselves, but the reason why I would add fulfilling is because the community presented me with a place I could be myself. And for me, that was enough fulfillment. It caused me to put 100% into what I was doing all the time. I give myself for my club, I give myself for my area every time anybody needed me out, because it was just a place I felt I belonged. So it was very fulfilling for me. Yeah. Well, I wouldn't say I have speeches I could recall, but I would say I have personalities that really moved me to really be invested in the community. One of them being our very own DTM Papa Kest, he calls me his prodigal son. Yes, but just hearing Papa speak so passionately about the things he talks about, being able to sell, let me say it that way, because he knows how to paint a very interesting picture with his delivery. He's one of the people that really moved me, and I was like, okay, I want to be able to speak like this. Because I've always been somebody who likes to mentor others, likes to coach other people. And I've always been someone that people tend to look up to. And I noticed that element a lot in Papa whenever he spoke. Another person that really, actually, thinking about it now, I didn't even expect it, was Asia. Yeah, Asia. Because Asia, I don't know how to describe it. Because I know where he's from, looking at where he is from and who he is now with regards to delivery, it just amazes me. The people I know that come from that place are not that articulate with their delivery and not that powerful and confident with what they do. But he is able to mix both that side of him at the same time too, in a very articulate and very professional manner. And it's just awe-inspiring. I really like that dynamic with regards to him. So within the community, I wouldn't point specific speeches, but if I talk about specific styles of speaking that really moved me, these two personalities have been a very key part of my journey. A lot. A lot. That's why I don't want to mention names. But a lot of people have played different roles. Even within my club. Fafa, for instance, when I joined my club back in the day, at that time, Fafa was the president. And I really liked that a lady like her was so commanding, and I find that attractive. Very, very attractive. And she played a part when it came to me wanting to be a leader within a community. But aside Fafa too, I would say one specific person, who was also another lady, was Aram. And I used to call her my favorite person. The funny thing about Aram was people always thought her to be too rigid and strict, but I always saw a different side to nah, this girl knows what she's about. This girl is very driven. And that's what made me attracted to her. I always enjoyed that personality of her. So I never had a situation where I and Aram would have, in quote, a quarrel in a sense about something. It always felt like a very intriguing conversation with somebody who also has similar or different perspectives. But we were able to meet, even though we could be at opposing points, we were able to meet and actually buttress, or will I say, debate our points in a very civil way. And I feel it was actually Aram that pushed me to start learning how to be calm in disagreement, or being able to be agreeable in the midst of disagreements. It's a skill that a lot of people don't have. People tend to flare up when they actually interact with somebody who doesn't agree with them in a particular area. But it's important that we do learn how to accommodate opposing views, because it's not every time we meet somebody who would agree to the things we agree to, and everybody is justified for their point. So being able to have that conversation and trying to see where the other party is coming from and agreeing with them on certain aspects, and also making sure they understand that, okay, I agree here but I disagree here, by creating that conducive environment where both of you can do that in harmony without any friction. I think I learned that from Aram. That's where I actually developed that attitude from my interactions with them. When it comes to the Toastmasters community, I would say I think when I was during COVID, I learned a lot during COVID. Being able to moderate an online meeting alone on its own, we say, would be my major skill. I could literally put it on my CV that I can moderate any meeting you give me online. I'll do it for you. And it took a lot of hard work, a lot of trial and error. And I think you're even part of helping build that framework for what we use now today. It wasn't easy. We had to start from somewhere. It wasn't easy. But I love that experience because it made me realize that I could learn something new in addition to what I already had. And so now I still use that skill. I use that with most of my online teaching sessions I do outside the community. It's even allowed me to get a teaching gig with a company which specifically specializes in online lessons. And I've been looking for something like that for a very long while. And when I got it, it was so simple. The lady was surprised. It was like, most of the tutors they bring on board, it takes them about a month to get used to the whole interface. I actually got used to the interface in a day. And I saw the limitations with the interface I had and how to improve all those limitations all within a day. And the lady was shocked. Like, yeah. And I link it to that 2019-2020 period where we are grinding on Zoom. I did a lot of sessions with Papa. I did a lot of trainings with Papa. So I was always on Zoom literally every single day for months. I feel that that particular part granted me that skill in order to moderate meetings on such a large scale. Yeah. I would say be free and express yourself. One of the problems that people have when it comes to communication is that we feel that we have to fit a box, or we have to fit a certain template when it comes to communicating. There's a style I communicate. There's a style you communicate. There's a style other people communicate. If you want to join the Toastmasters community, one of the key things you need to keep in mind is identifying what style best fits you and being the best at it. If you are somebody who enjoys telling a lot of humorous stories in your delivery, we have a path which encourages humor. Go on that path and amplify it. If you're somebody who likes to give more development or coaching experience to people, you have a path which is on effective coaching. Engage on that path. I would say that being a part of the community does not just involve you copying what other people do, but also involves you understanding your style and copying the aspects of their style that fit your style. So it doesn't look like you're a carbon copy of someone, but you are very original with how your delivery is. That's one thing I feel people need to pay attention to. That's very simple. That's very, very simple. Tema flourish. That's one. Busy. With the speakers is the other. And yes, Embassy. These are the three clubs I really like within the community. Tema flourish, I like their energy. It's not based because I stay in Tema, but I like the energy. I really like TM Asantua. I feel that her energy has permeated within the club and has really influenced the culture of her there. I just like how she is, and I can see her personality in that place. With Embassy, I usually help them run their meetings, and my interaction with them too as well, the same thing, the same energy. I like how dedicated the executives are, how the members come on call and everything. It's very, very, very good. And for busy speakers, I would say you guys are the tech guys and the pioneers of tech-related stuff. And I'm a techie person. So I noticed that especially during the 2019-2020, when it came to, and my personality is to start things, but when it came to making the thing run and maintaining it and cutting across, busy speakers were a very key aspect with regards to that. I did my part with regards to starting, but I really appreciate the fact that busy carried that momentum and maintained it and spread it across.